course, is what, that's not a mic.
So they're going to fire me now because I got the wrong mic. First, it's a privilege to be here to see this level of interest and commitment, thoughtfulness, and actually the consideration of an idea for further development. What you should know is everything I'm going to show you, is what I would call a first stab, meaning we're going to have another meeting, a big meeting, but more than that, you should know that the reason why I've been in business for 40 years and doing this is that when you design places for people, it's not like designing an object. What you're doing is you're creating a place in a place that already exists. There's a context, a site, and there's a use group. There are people that are there. There are people that have commitments. So the more I can hear from you, either here or individually, you can come and we can set up times when I can meet with you and listen to you, the better this place will be for you. I've listened and will continue to listen, obviously, to people at CHOP because they know what they want to do. And the design that came out of this building is the first stab based on a lot of download by some people that have been doing this for a very long time. And I think when we looked at a variety of different buildings, and it wasn't like this was the only one, there were a bunch of buildings you looked at for a fairly long time, this particular site has incredible positive aspects and very sensitive aspects. The very positive aspects are that basically this entire area was an old warehouse built right after World War II. In that warehouse are 6 or 7 very large trusses. They're in great shape, but they mean that the entire area in here is completely open, and you'll see in the designs that gives us enormous flexibility to create the kind of spaces that we're just hearing about where people can gather and be off the street and be filled with light. They also had a variety of additions towards the back, some of which were okay, some of which are not okay. And so we're going to be removing 2 of those. We're going to be reusing the double height one, which looks like the oldest one for the administrative area. But the biggest change, there are 2 big changes that impact the community. One is that we're going to get rid of the southerly end, the southerly bay of the building, so we can get a road that can handle 2-way traffic and emergency vehicles to make a safe way to get in and out of the building, not on the street, but actually towards the back. In a covered area, completely out of sight of the street, completely away from the street. The main entrance is to the back of the building. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to add a wing here that has got an elevator and stairs because we have to for safety. The largest site impact we're going to do is, you can see this is a hill, and it actually goes up pretty steeply. And what we want to do is we want to take that hill down and actually make the parking lot as low as we can and still drain water into the subsurface drainage system that already exists in the street. And what we also want to do is make that an invisible parking lot. In other words, there'll be at least 6 to 9 feet of retaining wall, and on top of that will be another 6-foot fence all the way around this area. So that what we'll have is a contained area that will essentially be out of sight, not participating in the community, in a safe and secure place. Next slide. So essentially what we're doing is an addition and a second story in this area for a quiet contemplative space away from the hubbub of the building so that people that need some time can go there. And we're making a large overhang here for, again, to cover the entry and to keep the entry away from the street. So essentially what we're doing, because this building here is built on about a 2-foot crawl space, and all the buildings in the back are slab on grade, because you need to have mechanical space. So next slide. So underneath, above this area here, we're going to be putting on top of the trusses a roof like this, tight to the trusses, that gives us a little bit extra room, because when we pull the building away, you can see that blue is where the building was. When we pull the building away, we have a 12,000 square foot building now. We're going to have a 12,000 square foot building when we're done. We're removing 3,000 square feet, and we're putting back 3,000 square feet in a different orientation. So it enables us to create different spaces in a way that actually pulls the building away from the neighbors. And in truth, what we have here is an outdoor area where we're removing the building, keeping this wall that exists here, not changing it at all, keeping the wall, and making an outdoor space where people can be outside but not in the street. They can be out of the weather, they can actually be in the sun if they want, so that essentially it's an outdoor area and an interior area that's covered by, for each one of these trusses, there's actually a skylight. So the light comes down from there. We do top lighting here and windows that are above the height of the wall, and also in here. So the light comes in from above, not views going in or going out, a sense of safety, a sense of natural light, a sense of openness. These are all sleeping spaces. This is the kitchen that we're talking about, an actual real kitchen where classes can occur. And there's also an exhibit space and sort of open space that faces the street. There is an occasional use of an entry here for this space, and an occasional use of this space here to supply the kitchen and the other service areas. And then up above, in the far right, you'll see we've got mechanical space and more isolated bedrooms that you'll see in the lower part of the plan that allow for different genders or different populations. Next slide. So essentially what we have is the front remains exactly the same at the street level. We add that angled roof that's over the curved roof that you can see from the other side of the street. We take off the area in blue that you see there because we have to get cars going in and out. We reinforce the original nature of the openings that used to be there, which were divided glass lights. And we use clear story lights, meaning highlights to let light in but not to let views in. And we coat the entire building in a stucco. Everything you see here will be reviewed not only by anybody who wants to come and talk to me about how the services they would think of, but also by whatever the aesthetic regulatory bodies are of the community, either an architectural review board or the planning board, whatever. Next slide. And then the other sides of the building, you can actually see what we're doing. The red is the existing grade line, and this is where we're taking the grade down. And this line here, this black line, is where we're adding a fence above that. So for this area, it's completely covered from the east and from the south and from the north. You can see here's the natural terrain. There's the retaining wall. There's the wall that obscures it. In addition, for the elevator, the existing two-story addition, the quiet room space up above, the actual glass that lets light in from above. You can actually see the truss behind there faintly. There's the entry to the south that basically has got the covered area to the right, natural light coming in for the sleeping areas that are beyond. So essentially, what we have here, it follows something which you should know. Jeanette Phillips will tell you. The first housing project they ever did was at 203 Smith Street 32 years ago. My sister lived here until she died last year on North Division Street. I've worked for the Family Resource Center, Hudson Healthcare. We just finished a house up on McKinley Street. The yellow one with the nice decks on it, it's just sold. We did that for the Housing Action Council. My whole life has been dedicated to making good design for people that need it the most. People that need it the most aren't necessarily the people in this room, they're the people that don't have a voice. So I hope you'll give us your voice, and I want to thank you for your time.